and in this video I'm going to explain you the basic concepts of computer networks. Computer networks you should know in general being a computer science student, and to specifically class 12 of CBSE board we have computer network in both the subjects, be it your IP or computer science. So you get a question where you have different small questions asked regarding the computer network concepts. So we will be discussing which type of questions you get in the exam later, but in this video I'll be explaining you the very basic concepts like what computer network is, why is it required, and what are the terms used when we talk about computer networks, right? So to start with, when we start with the term computer network, so what exactly do we mean by the word network? So computer network is when I have many computers and I connect them with each other so that I can share the information which is stored in them. I can share the resources connected to them. For example, you have a computer lab, right, in your school or in your college. You have a computer lab where there are around 15 computers in one room, and today I get to sit on computer number 4, and I made my program, I executed it over there fine, and I saved it there. Next time when we had our lab session, I got computer number 8, but I only used the same program which I stored last time on computer number 4. Obviously, one option is I can copy it in a pen drive and take it like that, but we don't have an access to pen drive. It's not allowed in the school. So what should you do then? If there is a computer network, yes, if they are connected, if there is a network, it is possible for me to open a file stored at computer number 4 at computer number 8. I can do that. I can share the files between the computers. And that is possible only if the computers are connected with each other and they form a computer network. So, in your schools, in your colleges, in offices, everywhere we have this requirement that we should connect the computers with each other so that we can share the files which are stored there, and moreover we can share the resources. Now, how do we share the resources? If you have a lab, have you seen every computer having a different printer? No, it's not like that. So what happens is if I have a lab of 10 computers, I generally have one printer or maybe two. And if you give the printing command from any of those computers, the printout comes from the same machine. That means that particular resource, that printer, is being shared by all the computers in the network. That's resource sharing. So these are the major things why we make a computer network. So the basic need of a computer network is one, resource sharing, be it your printer, scanner, your broadband internet connection, or any other expensive devices which can be shared with the help of a computer network. Then we have reliability. Now, how it increases reliability? If you have some important file, I can store it on more than one computer so that if something happens and your that computer is not working, I can get the file from the other computer. So it's more reliable. Then cost factor is there. We also call it as a price performance ratio. So for doing big tasks, for storing huge data, we have one option to have huge computers called mainframe computers, but they are very expensive. They are very expensive in comparison to a network made with your normal desktop computers. So if I have to buy a mainframe which is having the capability of 10 different desktop computers, and if I just connect 10 desktop computers to perform the same thing, so 10 desktop computers will be much cheaper in comparison to the mainframe computer which I have to buy. So it's more, you can say, pocket friendly. So the cost is less in case of a computer network. Then it forms a communication medium. Like we have various options to communicate with the help of internet. Internet is a very broad network, but if I'm talking about a network within an office or within a school or college, we can have communication there also with the help of emails in the intranet. We can have chat servers, or we can have other type of messaging, so that is possible. So communication can be done with the help of networks, and nowadays if we talk about internet, our major communication is done through that. Your all video calls, video conferencing, meetings, everything is done with the help of internet. That is also a form of computer network. So that is the requirement or the need that why we make a computer network, and this is the definition like what computer network is. So this one could be just few computers connected with each other, or it can be one mainframe computer sorry, one mainframe computer connected with small computers. So it can be anyhow, but basically we have computers connected with each other. Then this all the features are explained here. Then you have types of networks. Now, depending upon the area covered, like in how much area am I having my network, I have the type of network. When we talk about type of network, the very basic type of network is LAN, local area network. So a local area network is a network which is generally within the range of 1 kilometer. It is generally within a building, maybe the same floor or two to three floors of a building. For example, the network which you form in your school lab, in your college lab, or I have a small office for tourism and I have few computers and few people working over there. That's also a local area network. So that's called local area network. It's usually wired. That means we connect it with the help of cables. It cannot be more than 5 kilometers in any case. Okay. Then comes metropolitan area network. When we go beyond this 5 kilometer limit and we cover almost a city, then it becomes a metropolitan area network. Okay. This could be an example is like if I have a school and the school has different branches in different parts of the city and we connect all those branches with each other, so that would become a metropolitan area network. Then we have WAN, wide area network. So any network which crosses the area of a city, basically it goes beyond 10-15 kilometers, then we call it wide area network. It can be between two countries, even continents, or anything. And usually, wide area networks are wireless. They can be connected with the help of microwave or satellite. What these transmission medias are, you'll just get to know. We'll be discussing those later. But usually, local area networks are wired, they are linked with the help of cable, and wide area networks are linked with the help of some wireless technology. And nowadays, we have this one more type of network called PAN, which is Personal Area Network. Now, what is Personal Area Network? Assume you're sitting in your home and you just downloaded a few good songs, and then your friend come to your place and he says that I want the same songs. What can you do? You can send him through WhatsApp or you can send him through Bluetooth or share it. If you are sending through WhatsApp, it's not PAN. But if you're sending through Bluetooth, it is personal area network. WhatsApp is using internet. That's wide area network. But if I send some data from my phone to my friend's phone with the help of Bluetooth, it's a personal area network. Or I transfer something from my phone to my laptop with the help of a USB cable. That is again a personal area network. So when you connect your personal devices for the data transfer with the help of some wireless media like Bluetooth or with the help of some wired media like USB cable, so that is called personal area network. Okay, so these are the four type of networks we can have on the basis of the area covered by the network. Okay. Okay. So now we'll be doing transmission media. Before we go to the transmission media, there is a term called ARPANET. So this is the first computer network which was actually developed and it came into operations. It was developed by US for the defense thing and it was developed in 1969. Okay. So you should know that what is ARPANET? ARPANET is Advanced Research Projects Agency Network. You have to remember the full form from exam point of view. And the purpose of ARPANET, that it was the first network established by US government for the defense purposes. Okay, fine. Now let's start with the transmission media. So as I just told you that LAN is usually wired and WAN is wireless. So what do we mean by that? We mean by that we are saying that the computers are connected, but how the computers are connected? How are you going to connect them? So there are different ways of connecting the computers. One way is with the help of cables and another is without the cables. Now cables can be of further types, so we will be discussing that when we talk about wired media, which is also called as guided media, that is cables. So cables are of two types. They can be copper wires and they can be fiber optics. In case of copper wires, again I have two options. One is twisted pair cable. It has very thin copper wires which is 1 mm only, and the wires are twisted around each other, and they are in a plastic covering that is called twisted pair cable. So it's very inexpensive. That's one of its advantage, and it is easy to install and maintain. So the major advantages is that it has a reduced crosstalk, means the disturbance in the signals is less. Then it is easy to install and maintain, and it is very inexpensive. This is the cheapest cable we have out of all transmission medias. And you can see this cable with your telephone lines as well. The disadvantages are it is incapable to carry a signal over long distance without the use of repeaters. Now, after certain distance, when the data is sent through a cable, it is sent in the analog form, that is in the frequency distribution. After traveling certain distance, that frequency tends to lose. Now, frequency tends to lose and it has to be re-amplified. It has to be reboosted, which is done with the help of a device called repeater. If you don't put repeater, we can't send data to a long distance with the help of a twisted pair cable. So second disadvantage is due to low bandwidth, these are unsuitable for broadband applications. Bandwidth means the capacity to carry the data, so they cannot carry much data at a time. So they're not useful at the places where we have high bandwidth of data, like your broadband internet connections, where we need to upload, where we need high upload and download speed, so it's not suitable for that. Then comes coaxial cable, which is the second cable, comes under copper wires only. It consists of a solid wire core surrounded by one or more foil or braided wire sheets, each separated from the other by some kind of plastic insulator. So here we have a thick copper wire, and the thickness of the copper wire is very important because the bandwidth of the cable depends on the thickness of the wire. So advantages over here is data transmission rate is better than twisted pair cables. Then it is still cheap in comparison to the other medias available. Disadvantages, it's expensive in comparison to twisted pair cable and a bit difficult to manage and reconfigure in comparison to twisted pair cables. The second type of cable, which is fiber optic or optical fiber, optic means light, fiber means glass. So the cable is made up of glass and the data is transmitted in the form of light. And we know that there is nothing faster than light in this world. So this is the fastest transmission media we have because the data is transmitted in the form of light. And that light passes through a wire which is made up of glass. It's very thin glass wire, fiber glass wire. Now, the data cannot be leaked because the light cannot come out of the glass, it just reflects within and reaches to the destination. So, advantages are it transmits data over long distance with high security. Data transmission speed is high, provides better noise immunity, that means outside disturbance is not there, and bandwidth is up to 10 Gbps, that is gigabits per second. Always remember when this B is small, it's bits per second. When you have B capital, then it is bytes per second. Okay, so it's very important. Sometimes they can just ask you the full form of this. Then we have disadvantages. It's very expensive, and obviously any electrician cannot install this. You need special person who is skilled to install a network with the help of optical fibers. So these three are your guided or wired medias. Then we get wireless medias. In wireless medias we have infrared. Infrared is the, you can say, the least effective technology for transmitting signals wireless way, because this is basically used for TV remotes only nowadays or for some remote control toys. So it is a technology where we can send the signals, but if any hard thing comes in between, the signal will not penetrate. It will not pass through that. So it is not used for those things. Then we get radio waves. Radio waves are used for your FM channels. They are free of cost and the data is transmitted in all directions. So that's radio wave. Advantages you have to learn because in the exams they can ask you about any transmission media and they can ask you to write any two advantages and two disadvantages of that. So you must remember what advantages and disadvantages your main transmission medias have. So advantages are radio wave transmission offers mobility, means you can take it along. It is cheaper than laying cables and fibers. It offers ease of communication over difficult terrain. Disadvantages are radio wave communication is insecure. It can be tapped easily. And then if it is rain, if it is thunder, then the radio signals are going to be affected with that. So the data will not be passed as it is sent. So it's not good for reliable communications. Then we have microwave, which is actually used for wireless communications. So microwave transmission is line of sight transmission. It goes in one direction only. That's why we need towers. You have seen towers of Airtel, Vodafone and all. So those towers are there so that they can, you know, get the signals and amplify them in the same direction. So it is cheaper than line cables. It has the ability to communicate over oceans. Then disadvantages that microwave communication is insecure. Signals from antenna may split up and transmitted in different way to different antenna, which leads to reduce the signal strength. Then propagation is susceptible to weather effects, but in less degree in comparison to radio waves. Then bandwidth allocation is extremely limited in case of microwaves. So it is limited, but when it's a long distance, you don't have much options over there. So one option is microwave, and the second option is satellite. Satellite is no doubt the best way for wireless transmission, but it is expensive as well. So the satellite transmission is also a kind of line of sight transmission that is used to transmit signals, but in this case, the data is not sent from a tower to a tower. It is sent from a tower to the satellite in the sky, and that satellite sends it back to the receiving tower. So advantages, area covered is quite large. No line of sight restrictions such as natural mountains, tall building towers, nothing is there in between. Earth station which receives the signals can be fixed position or relatively mobile. So the position from where you are emitting the signals or you're receiving the signals, it could be one fixed position, or it could be on the top of some caravan or some maybe your like you must have seen some news agencies cars. They have big radars they on their vans. So that is basically to transmit the signals and receive the signals pass through satellites. Disadvantages are it's very expensive as compared to other transmission mediums. Installation is extremely complex, and signals sent to the stations can be tempered by external interference. Okay, so these are the drawbacks. So this is the set of transmission medias which can be used for connecting the computers while forming a network. Now, there are many devices which are used when we talk about networks, and you should know the name and the purpose of those devices. One of the device is modem. So modem is a very important device which is used to connect to internet because we use internet with the help of telephone lines. So telephone lines carries the data in the analog form and we have data in the form of digital form. So modem is the one which converts the digital data into analog while sending it through the telephone lines, and when we receive back it converts that analog data to the digital one. So conversion from digital to analog is modulation, and conversion from analog to digital is demodulation. Thus, the device is called modulator, demodulator, that is modem. Okay. Then it could be asked, what is RJ45 connector? So if you have ever seen in your laptop or if you have seen your modem where we have that white cable which we pin in that, so the front part of that white part which you press and you can take it out or you put it in, that's called connector. So that connectors are the plug-in devices used in the networking and telecommunication applications. They are used primarily for connecting LANs, particularly Ethernet. Then we have a device called Ethernet card, which is used to connect your computer to the network. Then we have a device called hub. It's a hardware device used to connect several computers together. And hub can either be active or passive, and it can support 8, 12, 24 RJ45 ports. If you want to see a hub and you can just check in your school or college lab, there would be a device connected to the server and to which all other computers cables are connected with the help of RJ45 ports. Then we have switch. It's a network device which is used to interconnect computers or devices on a network. It filters and forwards data packets across the network. So it receives a data and then it checks that where it should be sent ahead so that it reaches the destination in the best possible way and it forwards over there. So that's the purpose of a switch. So the difference, so it is asked many times in the paper, what is the difference between the hub and switch? Is that hub replicates what it receives on one port onto the other ports, while switch keeps a record of the MAC address of the devices attached to it. So hub is not intelligent. We say switch is an intelligent hub basically. So hub receives the data on one of the port and just copies it. Replicates means it copies it on the other ports. Whereas a switch knows their addresses and it checks like where it should be sent exactly and it sends over there, remembering the MAC address, that is medium access control address of each device connected to the network. because MAC address is the one which is used to identify every computer in a local area network. For wide area networks, that is internet and all, we have IP addresses. Okay, then we have gateway. A gateway is a device that connects dissimilar networks. Then we have repeater, which is used to boost the signal. So you have to remember the definition of all these devices. And about the IP addresses and MAC addresses, we will be discussing later in detail. Fine, so just remember the devices and their purposes. Then another important thing in networks is network topologies. Topologies means the arrangement of computers in the network. How are you going to arrange the computers in a network? So how do I arrange the computers? If I have one main cable like this and I connect different computers with that main cable somehow like this. So one main cable and all computers are connected to that. That forms a bus topology. So one main cable and you can connect as many computers you want. So the bus topology uses a common single cable to connect all the workstations. Each computer performs its task of sending messages without the help of the central server. So if this one has to send something, it simply keeps it on the cable and it reaches every system. They'll match their address. If the address is matched, they'll receive it. Otherwise, they'll discard it. So that's how bus topology works. It's so simple. So that is its main advantage. It's easy to connect and install, involves a low cost of installation time, and can be easily extended. Disadvantages are the entire network shuts down if there is a failure in the central cable. If the central cable is not working, it won't work. Only a single message can travel at one time. If one system is sending, other systems have to wait for their turn. Once a system's turn is over, the cable is free, then only the other one can send. If by chance two systems send at the same time, the data will collide because cable cannot have two messages at the same time. It will collide and none of them will be transmitted and the systems have to transmit again. Then difficult to troubleshoot an error. If one of the computer is not working, it's usually a bit difficult to find out that which computer is not working. Then we have star topology. This is the most commonly used topology we have. In this star topology, we have one central server and all other computers are connected to that server. So we have computers connected to the server like this. So that is called star topology. Now here, if a system has to send data to any other system, it sends it to the server and then server passes it to the destination system. So the server is also called as hub, or you can say that the hub is connected to the server. So advantages are it's easy to troubleshoot. If one of the computers is not working, I can find out which one is not working. A single node failure does not affect the entire network. Fault detection and removal of faulty part is easier. In case a workstation fails, the network is not affected. Disadvantages, it's difficult to expand because we have fixed number of ports with the hub and you can connect only that many computers for the number of ports you have there in the hub. Longer cable is required, large cable length is required because we have to put a separate cable from server to each and every individual computer. So if my server is lying on one corner of the room and I have computers spread everywhere, so I need a cable starting from that to other places. The cost of the hub and the longer cables make it expensive over others. Then in case the hub fails, if the server fails, the whole network fails. Nothing will work in the network then. Then we have tree topology, not used much, but still tree topology is the one where your data is arranged in hierarchical order. I have this, and then I have computers under this. I might have computers under this one. So like if I have general manager of the company who owns the top computer in the network, then you have, sorry, CEO of the company who owns the top computer, then you have general managers. Under that there are different managers and all. So that can be managed with the help of a tree topology. Then you have advantages and disadvantages for that. So you just have to go through these and learn it. Then comes switching techniques. This is something which is required in the networks but not too frequently asked in the exams, but you should know it as a term used in computer networks. Switching means how it decides like from how to reach from a source to the destination. So we have three types of switching techniques. circuit switching, message switching, and packet switching. Circuit switching is like the one which is used in telephone communications. When we send the data from a source to a destination. So here first a connection is established, a dedicated connection is established. Like if I dial someone's number, first a link is established, then the person picks the phone and then I can, talk. So first connection is established, then data is transmitted, and then we release the connection. So that is circuit switching. Message switching is the one which is called as store and forward mechanism. Here, there is no requirement of a physical path between the sender and the receiver. Like if I have to send an SMS, I have to send a WhatsApp message, I have to send an email. I just send it without bothering the other person is online or not. So you just send it, and whenever the other person comes online, he can view the message. That is message switching. But there was a problem with message switching that if you have systems in between which have, they can't store larger messages as intermediate systems, so they divide messages into smaller parts. If you must have, since in your generation you haven't used those phones, but we used to have the keypad phones earlier, smartphones were not there, and there were restriction on the maximum size of a message which they can hold. So if someone sends me a long text message, it is divided into parts. It comes like part 1 of 3, part 2 of 3, part 3 of 3. So that used to happen because the intermediate systems were not able to hold the whole message at once. So they derived a technique called packet switching, where the whole message is divided into small fixed size packets, and then those packets are sent to the destination. Destination combines them again and makes the complete message, and then you can get the complete message on the destination. So that's called packet switching. Okay, so this is the difference between all three type of switching techniques. This is very important. Network protocol. They can ask you what is the purpose of a protocol. They can simply give you the name of the protocol and you have to tell the full form of that. Now, what do we mean by protocol? It basically means the rules which govern the transfer of data over the network, like what should be the size of the packet, how it should be transmitted, how the paths should be decided, and all. So, the rules which govern the transmission of data over the internet are called protocols. So the majorly used protocols are HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. All your websites which you open in your web browsers, those all open with the help of HTTP protocol. Then you have FTP, File Transfer Protocol. When we download a file, when you upload a file, you're using FTP. Like right now, I'm going to put a link for these notes in the description section. And obviously, you're going to download this PDF from there so that you can refer to this PDF. You can take printouts, or you can just keep it in your system as you feel comfortable in reading. So basically, you're going to download the file. When you download the file, which protocol you will be using? You will be using FTP, that's File Transfer Protocol. Then comes TCP/IP. This is the very basic protocol required for internet to work. So TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol and IP is Internet Protocol. SLIP and PPP is basically required for establishing the connections between the two computers. Okay, so here are the full forms for this and their purposes. IP addresses we have to discuss later, so I'll explain you there. Okay, then we have a thing called Telnet. It's a remote login facility with the help of which I can log in to any other computer in the world who uses the same software, obviously. Like Telnet is there on there also, and I have as well. And he has given me the username and password to log in on his machine. So I can log in there and I can work on his desktop as I'm actually sitting there and using his computer. Okay, so that feature is called Telnet or remote login. Then we have wireless or mobile computing, which can be done with the help of internet. Then you have to learn all these full forms. GSM, that is Global System for Mobile Communication. What is their purpose? CDMA, Code Division Multiple Access. Wireless in local loop. What is email? What do you mean by chatting? What is video conferencing? SMS, 3D, 3G, and Edge. Okay, so these are few basic terms which are important in connection with the networks. So, which might be asked. So, you should go through this and you should keep yourself updated with the latest trends and terms being used when we talk about networks. So these are a few of the major concepts. This is part one of computer networks. Very soon, I'll be uploading part 2, in which I'll be explaining what is MAC address, what is IP address, what is network security, what are the threats to network security, how can we save our computer from viruses, then another related terms. I hope you understood this basic thing. So, if you understood, do like the video and share with your friends so that it can reach to the maximum people. And don't forget to subscribe the channel to get the notifications for the latest uploads. And yes, the link for the PDF is there in the description section, so you can download that and go through the notes thoroughly. In case of any doubts, any term which you could not understand, do write in the comment section. And yes, if you found the video helpful, then also you can write in the comment section to say thanks or just give advice for something else you want. Till then, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you.